Hi everyone, welcome to this video. We're going to look at MAC's brand new Electric Wonder collection. This is a collection for summer 2019 and it includes a lot of different things. So if you want to see swatches, how the colors apply and appear, what the lip products look like on the lips, and hear my first impression of the quality of the formulas, then stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and follow Allura Beauty on Instagram. If you didn't see the last video, that was for Huda Beauty's new Neon Obsessions eyeshadow palettes. I'll link that in the upper right-hand corner so that you can check that out. And let's get looking at the MAC Electric Wonder collection. So this collection is currently available for you to purchase through MAC's website and through Ulta. It should also be available through places like Nordstrom and Macy's. I'll put a link in the description box below to where you can find the products to purchase them, as well as a link to Ebates so that if you do shop online, you can get cash back, not only for this collection, but for whatever online shopping that you do. So let's first start out with the face palette. It's kind of rare for MAC to include face palettes in this form, I feel like, in their collections. So it's nice to see something like this. And first, I will say I really love the packaging for this collection. It has this marbled design on it. The palettes all open up with a clasp closure and they all include a full-sized mirror inside. So this is called the Ignite Wonder Face Palette and it retails for $40.50. It is a highlighting palette with 6 shades and is supposed to have a cream-like powder formula that is packed with the special pearl powder complex to give you a natural radiance. So here are the shades up close. I will swatch all of these initially with an angled powder brush to give you the most realistic view. Not Instagram swatches, but realistic swatches. And then I will do finger swatches to give you a heavier application. That kind of helps some people if they have a very different skin tone to mine sometimes. And if you want to use them as eyeshadows, that gives you a better idea of what that will look like. Oh, and another thing that's different about the palettes in this collection are they come with the plastic overlays that have the shade names on them. There's still the shade names on the back of the palette in really small print, but maybe from now on MAC will also include these. So I will first swatch the shade Wonder Who. This shade is described as a soft champagne beige. It's a nicer subtle shimmer with one layer. I'm going to apply a second one to see how much it builds up. Shade 2 is called Some Kind of Wonderful. This is described as a champagne gold, so just slightly deeper in tone than Wonder Who. Building up a second layer. Again, a very lovely, subtle, but apparent shimmer. You may not be able to tell right now on the camera. I'll show you up close in just a second. Third is Any Wonder, described as a bronze shade. Again, building up a second layer there. All 3 of these colors so far would be really beautiful. The first 2 on lighter to or fair to light skin tones. This shade I think would be absolutely beautiful for medium to deeper skin tones as a highlight. Fourth is Girl Wonder, described as a peachy pink. Again, beautiful refined shimmer. I don't think on the cheeks you'll need a second layer, but since it's a little harder to see far away on the camera, I'll build this up. This is, if you did build it up, the more dramatic finish you would get. Next is Seven Wonders, described as a rose gold. Same comments that I have in terms of not really needing a second layer, but can definitely build it up. And finally is Wonder Years, described as a warm berry pink. So the kind of shade that could definitely use as a blush, or would pair nicely on top of a deep berry color on deeper skin tone as a highlight. And this is a second layer. Okay, so up close, here are your 6 highlighting shades. This is the first shade here, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So let's go back now and do some really heavy swatches using our fingers. So we have Wonder Who, Some Kind of Wonderful, and Any Wonder. Beautiful. And then the next 3, which are Girl Wonder, 7 Wonders, and Wonder Years. All right, all of these are super smooth. All of these are super smooth. They have the same kind of soft and very refined formula across the board. I know that some people, they often comment, oh, you can't see anything on the swatches. I think people are very used to very unrealistic, oversaturated, overblown Instagram kind of photos. Personally, I don't want to walk in a room and have someone say, oh, there's a huge stripe of really bold highlighter on that person's face. I think this is a great palette for realistic, practical, very finely milled, well-formulated highlighters, all of which you could use across the board. I feel like this is a very diverse, usable palette. Next up, let's look at the eyeshadow palettes, of which there are 2 in this collection, and they retail for $48 each. They each contain 12 eyeshadow colors. The first palette we'll swatch and look at is called the Natural Vice eyeshadow palette. And this is going to be the warm toned neutral palette. Again, you get that plastic overlay and a full-sized mirror. And here are the shades up close. And as always, I will swatch these over eyeshadow primer with an eyeshadow brush. Oh, the other reason I like this insert is because a lot of times on the back of the actual package, the names will be out of order. They'll be misordered. I shouldn't say a lot of the time, once in a while. So that can be confusing if you're someone who really cares about the name and associating that with the shade description. And for the eyeshadow palettes, they also include the finish of the eyeshadow shades. So first up we have Fab Accent. And this is a soft nude with a matte formula. Second is Pleasing to the Eye, described as a dirty mauvey pink with a matte formula. Third is Sun Tweaked, which is a soft frosty pink. I think this has a hint of kind of peach to it too. This has a frost formula. Fourth is Diamond Butterfly, described as a silver white shimmer. This also is a frost formula, but the flakes in here are much larger. Fifth is Valley of the Goddess, described as an orange beige with a matte formula. Sixth is Cork, which is a permanent shade. It's a muted golden brown with a matte, satin formula. Seventh is Struck Gold, which is a bright yellow gold with a frost formula. Eighth is Desert Romance. This is a warm golden peach. This has a Velux Pearl formula. That gold flash gives it a duochrome characteristic. Ninth is Magmatique. This is a warm reddish brown with a matte formula. 10th is Natural Vice, described as a cool muted brown with a matte formula. 11th is Go Wilder, And this is a pearly red brown with a Velux Pearl formula. And 12th is Rebel Pebble, described as a cool, deep, muted brown with a satin formula. This has very tiny, finely milled gold shimmer in it. All right, there are the shades for the first eyeshadow palette. Overall, I'm pretty impressed by how these swatched. They, for the most part, went on very smoothly and with good color. I would say these two mattes went on just a little bit patchy on the first swipe or two, but very easily will be smoothed out, and you'll likely be putting those on with a blending brush through the crease anyway, so I think you'll be fine, or defining that outer V. And next up, we are going to be swatching and looking at the Desert Lightning eyeshadow palette. And this one is described as the Cool Toned Neutrals palette. Here are the shades up close. And once again, we will swatch with an eyeshadow brush from Sigma over eyeshadow primer. Shade 1 is called Desert Lightning. MAC describes this as a light yellow beige with a matte formula, but I don't see any yellow tone to this. Just looks like a matte creamy beige to me. Shade 2 is Fresh Innocence. This is a frosty ivory warm white with a frost finish. Again, pretty flaky glimmer particles in there. Third is Retrospec, another permanent shade, which is described as a beach blonde. I feel like this is more of a straw, really pale gold. And this has a luster finish. Fourth is Fool's Gold. This shade has definitely come up before, I'm not sure if it's permanent. This is a dirty olive gold with a frost finish. Fifth is Marzipan, which is a muted plummy taupe with a matte finish. Sixth is So Jaded, which is a seafoam green with a Velux Pearl finish. Seventh, no idea how to pronounce this, it's looks like Dua Bandita. Described as a red with blue pearl. I did not realize that that chunk had come off of that pan there. All right, let's see if we can go from there. Like I was saying, described as a red with green pearl. This looks like a really kicked up version of Max Club to me. Definitely has a duochrome and has a Velux Pearl finish. You can see that chunk that came out there. I think maybe what happened is the metal part of the side of this ferrule caught against this pan there and picked that up. Didn't even realize that. Eighth is It the Beat? This is a deep black with a matte finish. This looks like a very deep gray charcoal to me as opposed to a true black. 9 is Brune, another permanent shade, blackish brown with a satin finish. 10th is Deception, which is a cool medium brown with a frost finish. 11th is Golden Brown, which, surprise, surprise, is described as a golden brown. It has a Velux Pearl finish. And 12th is Big Attitude, which is a dirty gray with a frost finish. All right, those are your 12 shades from the second eyeshadow palette. I do think that I like the warm toned palette better. It seems to have more good medium matte transitional shades, although I will say I love these two very unique, or at least more unique shades that are in the cool toned palette. I just don't know that I love the formula for most of the shimmering shades in here, which seem to be a little more flaky and less smooth and elegant. Next up, let's look at what's probably the most visually appealing part of this collection that most people are going to be attracted to. There are 2 Electric Wonder iridescent powders in this collection. and they retail for $36 each. Now, very sadly, both of mine came completely out of the pan. One of them is, as you can see, just almost completely crumbled. The other one has somehow stayed intact, but is out of the pan. So I will still swatch these for you. I'm actually going to press the one that's mostly crumbled so that I can get even, hopefully, layer on the brush before I swatch them. MAC describes these as a creamy, lightweight bronzing powder that boasts long-lasting, high-comfort wear. The silky, soft texture features micro light boosters that guarantee the look of healthy radiance, no filters needed. The result is a soft-focused, believable glow, offering sheer to medium buildable coverage and a natural luminous finish. So this first shade here is called Into Eternity. Absolutely stunning looking powder. So sad about this, but this is Serenity Seeker. You can still see on the intact part of the pan what it looks like. I'm actually going to swatch Serenity Seeker first, mostly because I want to get it out of here. It's getting just shimmer and powder everywhere. And this shade is described as a warm gold. From what I saw in the pan, I expected there to be a little more tone of pink to this, but it is predominantly a bronze gold. It has gold shimmer in it. This is a second layer. And second will be Into Eternity, which is described as a rosy pink. This one doesn't show up as well as I thought it would on first layer, which makes me wonder if the crumbled shade showed up more intensely because the powder was actually crumbled. But this is showing up nicely actually on a second layer here, and this one definitely does have more of that tone of pink to it. And then heavy swatches. This is Serenity Seeker and Into Eternity. Alright, so those are the brush swatches. These are definitely, in terms of pigmentation color, a little bit more on the sheer side, buildable to medium coverage. The collection also has two next to nothing bronzing powders, which retail for $30 each. There are two shades, Canyon Dreamin' and Sun-Soaked Strip. The shade I have here is the lighter one, which is Canyon Dreaming. So we're also going to swatch that with an angled powder brush. This transferred onto the brush super easily. And Canyon Dreamin' is described as a yellow-brown. So definitely more of a bronzing shade as opposed to more of a grade contouring shade. And this applies so effortlessly and beautifully. Like you saw, the powder went onto the brush super effortlessly, and it is maintaining that in this swatch. I really don't think you need to build that up at all. And here is a heavy swatch just for comparison. It feels so silky. Wow. Right, that's what that looks like on the skin. Next up, we have 5 lip glosses, and these will retail for $18.50 each. First up is the shade Coral of the Wild, Marble Fawn, Nature Freak, Rock Stars, and Make Me Mercurial. And these have the stylized handles to them and an angled doe-footed applicator. Coral of the Wild is a light corally nude. Marble Fawn is a white with gold pearl. Nature Freak is a bright yellow gold. Rock Stars is a cool bronze. And Make Me Mercurial is described as a berry with slight pink. Okay, here are your 5 lip gloss shades. 2 of them are shimmering. One of them has a very subtle shimmer and the other 2 are more of a cream. And last, we also have 5 lipsticks. These retail for $19.50 each. Natural Born Leader, Feelin' Sedimental, The Naturalist, Life in Sepia, and Let's Mesa Around. Feelin' Sedimental is described as a light corally beige. I don't see any coral in here. I think this is a peachy beige, and this has a satin formula. The Naturalist is a warm peachy nude, and this has a luster formula. Let's Mesa Around is a light bubblegum blue pink. It's quite sheer. This has a luster formula. Life in Sepia is a muted mauve brown with a matte finish. And Natural Born Leader is a muted red berry with a matte formula. All right, here are the 5 lipstick shades. You're getting varying formulas and finishes in all pretty natural colors. So when it comes to the lip glosses, pretty straightforward. The most pigmented is going to be the very last shade. You get a lot of sparkle with the second and third shades. That gray tone shade, don't know how wearable that is, but it is what it is. I was actually surprised by how much I liked the lipsticks. There are the second and third shades there, which are the Naturalist and Let's Mesa Around. I really love. Let's Mesa Around is like a gloss, but in a lipstick format, which I am in love with. The second product I was the most surprised by was the bronzing powder. What an elegantly beautiful formula. I think the eyeshadow palettes are good. I like the warm palette more. I think it has a better quality overall. But again, I always find it disappointing when MAC puts in a lot of permanent shades into their palettes. I feel like it's a waste and a shame. So can't say I'd give it 100 for those eyeshadow palettes either, even though they seem to have a very usable color story. And the most disappointing part were the Electric Wonder Iridescent powders. Not just because they were broken, but I just feel like the difference between how visually stunning they look and then kind of how pedestrian they look on the skin, that contrast makes me feel kind of disappointed in those. And at the end of the day, what I really love is the design of the packaging. So please leave me a comment and tell me what your favorite part of this collection is, or any other thoughts that you have. If you were curious about this collection, I really hope that this video has helped you decide what you do or don't want. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video.